Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the K-Man 1971 coming back at you with my double-sized 50th comic book haul. Yes, in the tradition of double-sized anniversary issues, which I've always been a big fan of, I've bulked up the volume in this haul, so there will be like twice as many books as I usually show, and I've also been putting aside some key issues in my last couple of hauls in order to spruce this haul up and make it a little bit more eventful. Hopefully I have. In my own opinion, I think this is the best haul that I've been able to upload onto YouTube since I've been doing this a little over a year now. So I hope you all enjoy it. My last haul was basically all Bronze Age and Marvel, which I found pretty much just out in the wild, all old school. But this is back to my traditional format of various comics through various eras, various publishers, and I got them through various ways, whether it be eBay, my local comic book shops, and even a little bit of Midtown mixed in there. So this is going to be a long video. So strap yourself in, and I hope you all enjoy it. Kicking it off, I have the Magic Order #1 from Mark Millar and Olivia Copiel. And I really like this book. Adam Hughes cover. As we all know, it's been optioned for Netflix, and allegedly there won't be any second printing. So I'm a Mark Millar fan. He is more hit than miss with me, so I figured why not check it out. Immortal Men #3, featuring this killer Jim Lee Batman Who Laughs cover. I kind of wish that they would have colored the background in red or an orange to kind of make it look more demonic, I guess. But hey, what are you going to do? Still a crazy cover. And I kind of dig this title. I will definitely be sticking around until Jim Lee leaves the title, which will probably be sooner than later, considering he ended up just getting a promotion, which I'm happy for him, but as a comic book fan, selfishly, I'm a little bummed because most likely I will be getting a lot less Jim Lee artwork on a yearly basis, which there wasn't much to begin with, so hopefully he won't totally fade away. Speaking of great artwork, DC has been killing it with these DC variants, which have replaced the B covers during Rebirth. So been loving them. Talk about some great artwork flowing out of DC right now. Wow. So this is Wonder Woman #48 by the incredible Jenny Friesen, and showcases the A-list, some of the A-list ladies of the DC universe. Can't really go wrong there. And Jenny Friesen, even though I love her artwork, ever since Wonder Woman 25, when Greg Rucka jumped off the title, it seemed like her covers lost a little of their pop, and she was kind of mailing it in a little bit, became a little stagnated. But the last two covers, I think, in my opinion anyway, have been killer. So, very happy to pick it up. Detective Comics #982, a book that I'm not picking up, but it was thrown into my pile by accident by my local comic book shop dealer, and I'm not going to complain. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to cry about another Batman comic in my pile, especially if it has this incredible Mark Brooks cover attached to it. Sweet. Batman #48, featuring this beautiful Frank Cho cover, which he's used this style before in on Harley Quinn B covers as well as Wonder Woman B cover, but it works every time. I love it. I'm glad to see that this title is firing on all cylinders again. This was also like almost my read of the haul, but just barely got beat up. But Tom King, one of the best Batman writers, in my opinion, right up there with the greats of, like, say, Grant Morrison, Denny O'Neil, Scott Snyder, Frank Miller, and he writes one of the best Jokers ever, bar none. So this is really amping up the hype for Detective Comics #50. I'm ready for it. Bring it on. Now, my read of the haul was actually Justice League #1, and it was also almost my cover of the haul, too, featuring this incredibly awesome Jim Lee Batman in the Rain variant cover. So nice I had to buy the B and the C cover so I could have it in black and white also. Awesome. As far as comic book franchises go, for my own personal preference, my top 3 comic book franchises are in this order: Batman, the X-Men, and the Justice League. Batman has been pretty much in the zone ever since Grant Morrison took over the title. So great stuff there. The X-Men, even though I love them as a franchise, until Marvel takes their head out of their cartoony ass and does something a little bit more than mediocre with the X-Men, I am off that title. You know, I wish I could give Marvel money for the X-Men, but they just won't. They just won't play ball with me. But as far as Justice League goes, huge Justice League fan, and even though I really did enjoy Jeff Johns' volume of Justice League, one of the few bright spots of the New 52 era, I was not down with Brian Hitch's volume of Rebirth Justice League. I thought it was a massive downgrade in quality in both artwork and writing. So I just kind of hopped off after the first story arc, and I have not been buying any Justice League comics in a couple of years now. So very happy to have this back on my pull list. Looking forward to issue number 2, a big time. And yeah, it's great to see the Justice League back and getting the A-list treatment again, which it deserves. So there you go. Now, as far as my cover of the haul goes, we kind of have an ongoing, like, reigning champion in Francisco Mattina. So this is Deathstroke number 32, a totally heavy metal Deathstroke cover yet again. Beautiful, beautifully rendered, beautifully colored, just awesome. And Mattina's just been killing it on these DC variants. This one, as well as the Reverse Flash cover, as well as Deathstroke, what was it, issue number 30, where he had Deathstroke wiping the blood off with Superman's cape. Incredible, incredible stuff. So, great stuff. And DC, like, both, I had to take off my hat to them if I was wearing a hat, because story, art, and covers, all 3 elements that make up a great comic book, and they've been doing that as of lately. Reading-wise, I've really been impressed with the ongoing Batman title, Doomsday Clock, Man of Steel by Bendis, the Deathstroke versus Batman storyline running in Deathstroke right now, as well as the Justice League revamp by Snyder. So, still, I mean, I would like to have, like, more than 5 elite titles coming out of DC at the moment right now, but it's a lot better than what Marvel's doing right now, unfortunately. I hate to be a hater. I'd love to show more Marvel current comics, but they just haven't been doing it for me for a while now. But Deathstroke number 32, killer Francisco Mattina cover. Alright. Green Lantern number 48. I'm having a brain fart. I can't remember the name of the artist. Not really familiar with their work. But beautiful cover. This book was like really hot last week. I want to say it was like a $15 to $20 book. I think it's already cooled down to $10, which a lot of the DC variant and B covers, that's usually where they end up. So, but beautiful cover right there. Had to have it. Another cover that I thought I lost my opportunity on, but there it was on the rack. Cover price. Nightwing number 44. One of the best John Romita Jr. covers in quite some time. And just a kick-ass Nightwing running in the rain, looking badass cover. Beautiful. Like I said, I picked it up for cover price, and I want to say this book goes for, what, between 10 and 20 bucks? So, not bad. And just to show that I'm not a total Marvel hater, I mean, I want to like Marvel comics, but Amazing Spider-Man number 800. Love me a good anniversary issue, and this was pretty good, too. Not as good as Action Comics, but still pretty good. This was a nice Alex Ross cover, and this is the conclusion of the Red Goblin story arc, which it was a fun anniversary issue. It keeps on the tradition of fun anniversary issues that started with Action Comics over to ASM 800, and Batman number 50 is right around the corner. But the one criticism I guess I could have of this is the same criticism I have of many of Marvel comics. This just seemed cartoony to me, like more of like something I would see on an animated cartoon rather than a comic book. So still a fun read, was still a fun arc. Best, one of the better Spider-Man story arcs that I've read in quite some time. But I will stick around for 801, and I will probably be jumping off again for the foreseeable future once it reboots with a new issue number 1. I saw the preview, and it just didn't do anything for me. Once again, mediocre interiors. One of the reasons that I think this story did well is because it had some great interior artwork to go along with the covers, and an interesting story. So, and of course, the speculation of a new character. But, hey, what are you going to do? So, Amazing Spider-Man number 800, pretty cool stuff. Now, getting into the back issues. I ran into a sweet run of Star Wars comics, all in, like, there were a couple of finds, but most of them in very fine shape, all in the dollar bin. So I love me some Bronze Age dollar bin stuff, and I especially love it when they're Star Wars comics from Volume 1 in very fine condition. So here's number 27, number 28. And all these books go for between, what, like $7-10 online. So number 29, number 31, number 33, and number 34. Oops, and one more. Number 35. How could I forget that one? Star Wars, with Darth Vader playing with his favorite Star Wars action figures. Great stuff. Now, I usually save all my keys to the end of the video, but this one's going to be a little different. We're going to be sprinkling them out all throughout the video. So, staying on the Star Wars kick, we have The Empire Strikes Back, number 1. This is the paperback edition. Now, it's not laying flat because I ended up cutting down a cardboard box, and I guess I cut it unevenly. But I just wanted to put it in a My Light. Now, this is a nice little piece of my childhood returned back to me. This features the first adaptation of the Empire Strikes Back movie in comic book form. So, this is the first real official first appearance of Boba Fett, Lando Calrissian, and Yoda, albeit in more of a prototype form than the traditional Yoda that we know. But this is all of their real first appearances in comics. Now, I already own the Marvel Super Special, and as well as the floppies from the ongoing Star Wars series. And I already knew about this comic for a while now because I used to own it as a little kid. But I kind of had it on the back burner because I figured it was under the radar and most people wouldn't be seeking it out. But once it was announced that Boba Fett would be getting his own ongoing Star Wars comic, I was like, yeah, all right, I put this at the top of my list. So I ended up picking this up for, I think, like $17-18. It has a little coverware on the top, so it would probably bring it down to like a fine, maybe even a fine minus. But all the pages are nice and white on the inside. It's complete. There's no, like, busted up spine or what, no dog ears. So very, very, very happy to add this back into my collection. Piece of my childhood returned back home, and as a Star Wars collector, very happy. And just for the record, I enjoyed Solo. It wasn't the greatest Star Wars movie of all time, don't get me wrong, but in my Star Wars hierarchy, without getting into it too much, I would definitely place it above all 3 of the prequels, and I would definitely put it ahead of The Last Jedi, too. So take that for what you will, but I think it was put in a very tough spot, put in the same month as Avengers Infinity War and Deadpool. I don't know what they were thinking. And there is a little bit of a Star Wars overload, I think, going on right now. I love pizza, but if you serve me pizza 5 times a week, I'm not going to look forward to it as much. So if you're going to churn out a Star Wars movie every single year until the end of the time, I just can't see how that dynamic would be sustainable for the long term, no matter how good or bad these movies are. So just my 2 cents on Solo. But Empire Strikes Back, paperback edition, first official Boba Fett, Yoda, and Lando Calrissian in comics. Definitely would highly recommend picking this up. Alright, so we went small, now we're gonna go to a larger size format. And another big key that I am super stoked to add into the collection. Savage Tales, number 1. Oh yeah, baby. Love it. Love it. This is awesome. A glaring omission from my Conan collection. I've wanted this for a long time, ever since I picked up Conan the Barbarian number 1. So, Savage Tales number 1, which, as we all know, like, I think the reason that this book is so pricey is that it contains the first appearance of the Man-Thing. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Man-Thing hater, but I bought this for Conan. I could really care less about the first appearance of Man-Thing, but it's cool to have it anyway. This was a book that I've wanted. It's been on my list for a while, but as you know, as many of us know anyway, this is kind of an expensive book and tough to find in good condition. This is in very fine plus condition. I paid $170 for this on eBay, plus another $13 in shipping, so $183. In my area, it's very tough to come along a Savage Tales in very fine plus condition for under $250. So I think I made out pretty well. I also bought it on the week that they did that 10% deal where you get 10% into your eBay bucks. So I ended up getting $17, thrown into my eBay Bucks account. And this also came with copies of Savage Tales number 2, 3, and 5, which unfortunately I just bought those issues like a couple of weeks ago. But seeing it came with a lot, why not? So 170 minus 17, 183 minus 17, and plus with Savage Tales number 2, 3, and 5. So I thought that was a pretty good deal, and I'm very happy to finally put this into my collection. So there's number 1, and here are the others that came with a lot. Number 2, which are actually, even though they were advertised as fine to very fine, the only one that was actually in very fine shape, luckily, was Savage Tales number 1. The rest of these are probably just in fine shape. The copies that I had picked up at my LCS were much better. So here's number 2. Number 3. And number 4. And here are some of my better copies that I ended up picking up from my LCS the week before. So here's number 2. These are all in like very fine shape. Now, another correction from a while ago that I didn't know that I made a mistake to begin with. But in one of my comic book collection spotlight videos, I showcased all of my Conan keys. And I stated that I was so happy to finally end my Roy Thomas, Barry Windsor Smith classic run of Conan 1 through 24. And I was under the impression that I owned all of the Roy Thomas, Barry Windsor Smith run on the Conan character. But I was wrong, because I did not know about these Savage Tales. Now, I know Savage Tales number 1 features a story that was reprinted in Conan the Barbarian number 19, The Frost Giant's Daughter. But what I didn't know is that Savage Tales number 2 through 4 contain original content from Barry Windsor Smith and Roy Thomas. So, super psyched to complete this classic run. So, Savage Tales number 2, once again. Number 3, which number 2 and 3 contain an adaptation of Red Nails. It's like a 58-page Conan story. Incredible. So, and I really hope that once Marvel starts publishing Conan comics again in the beginning of next year, that they reprint some of these Savage Tales in color, because the artwork is beyond phenomenal. Here, oh damn, out of order again. Messing up. So here's number 4, which features this killer Neal Adams cover, and the main Conan story is illustrated in this issue by Neal Adams and Gil Kane. And I want to say there's a backup story also illustrated by Conan story illustrated by Barry Windsor Smith. Talk about bang for your buck. Holy crap. And Savage Tales number 5, which features another Neal Adams cover of Conan, Kazar, and Zabu. How cool is that? And the main story is illustrated by Jim Starlin, which is pretty damn cool. And, yeah, incredible. Just an incredible run. These Bronze Age magazines never fail to impress me and surprise me. So, cool stuff. Alright, what else do we have here? Alright, getting into some regular back issue stuff. Now, all of these next, like, dozen or so books are all, like, between $3 and $5. Stuff that I wanted for my PC. So, Batman Grendel, love my cross-company crossovers. And usually when it comes to a cross-company crossover, the story is usually just average at best for the most part, if you're lucky. But this was just a kick-ass crossover between Batman and Grendel Prime. Matt Wagner knocks it out of the park again. Awesome stuff. Highly recommended. For $3, I picked up a copy of Starbrand, number 1. First appearance of Starbrand. You never know if he might pop up during Jason Aaron's, or if a Starbrand might pop up during Jason Aaron's Avengers run. Who knows? But cheap first appearance. I was never really down with the new universe when it first came out as a kid, and I guess a lot of us weren't either, because it didn't last very long. Daredevil number 323. I guess this would be considered one of the first Venomized covers. And I tried to flip through it, but I forgot all about this era in comics when Daredevil was sporting that horrendous red and gray costume. Ugh. So, yeah, the 90s. What are you going to do? Superior, number 1, another Mark Millar franchise. And one that I missed out on the first time around, picked it up for cover price. Why not? Scarlet, #1. Another one of those titles that's in, well, one of those franchises that's in, like, option limbo, I guess. I guess it might become a TV series. It might not. Who knows? But Bendis and Mayleave, one of my favorite creative teams from their time on Daredevil. Another cheap first appearance. Why the heck not? I'll give it a read. Thor Annual #11. Another example of a book that wasn't worth anything, really. But after the Avengers Infinity War, it has a little bit of heat. Not much, but a little bit. This is the first appearance of, what's his name? The giant dwarf that Peter Dinklage played that ended up making another hammer for Thor. But pretty cool, very high grade. Here's an underrated book, in my opinion. Justice League of America, #161. This is the issue where Zatanna officially joins the Justice League. And believe it or not, that is Zatanna right there, sporting that ugly costume. Her costume is tied for third place for, horrible costume updates, along with Black Canary's horrendous costume that they gave her in the 1980s, and the Black Cat over in the late 1980s when they switched up her costume. Fortunately for all three of these heroines, they went back to their original costumes, thankfully. One weird thing about this comic, though, is for some reason the Y in U, the letter Y in U, is like faded out, and that's it. Just, I don't know if that's a printing mishap or if some kid tried to take an eraser, but there isn't really any scuffing. It still has a gloss. I don't know. But anyway, The Defenders, #27, which features a cameo of Starhawk. I already own Defenders #28, so I'm just one of those people. If you have the first appearance, I like to have the cameo too. And is it just me, or does, like, nothing screams Bronze Age more than, like, say, a copy of The Defenders or Master of Kung Fu? And I mean that as a compliment. Alright, very happy to show you these next 4 books. We have Uncanny X-Men #152. #157. Let's try to get that. There we go. And this one, 164, I actually already own the copy of this, but this is in very fine condition, and the copy that I had a Staple Pop, either down there or up there, one of them, so it was only a VG copy, but very sweet to go towards my ultimate X-Men run of Giant Size X-Men #1 through 175, which means I would only need that big dog, one last big dog, and here it is. X-Men #94, the all-new, all-different X-Men. Love this book. I've had it on my list for a long time, and this finally... let me just... 5.5 CGC, so fine minus condition, just so you all know. I would like to have a higher grade copy, but I didn't want to pay... I was just happy to get this for under $300, and this has been on my list for a long time. One of the last big dollar books that I'll be buying for quite some time. I'm not one of those Marvel Zombie guys or Johnny DC guys. I want both of the companies to do well at all times, whether publication, movie-wise, whatever. But if my life depended on it, I had to choose one company over the other, I consider myself more to be a DC guy. Just because, just when I grew up, the 1980s, Dark Knight, Watchmen, V for Vendetta, the Perez's, Wolfman and Perez's Teen Titans, Crisis on Infinite Earths, just classic after classic. But my favorite run in comicdom would be this right here, from Giant Size X-Men #1 all the way to Uncanny X-Men #175. That basically encompasses my golden age of the X-Men franchise. Massive world building going on, massive franchise building going on. From Giant Size #1 to 175, you had the premiere of the new team, the inclusion of Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, and of course Wolverine. You had the introduction of the Starjammers, the Imperial Guard, the Phoenix Force, the Dark Phoenix Force, the Dark Phoenix Saga, the Hellfire Club, Emma Frost, Kitty Pryde, The Brood, Madeline Pryor, on and on. Alpha Flight. There was so much world building that was going on. Everything I love about the X-Men basically occurred during that period. And not only was it great for the X-Men franchise, it was great for Marvel Comics, and it was great for comics in general. Brought it to another level. So, very happy. It's great to get a key issue, but when that key issue also coincides with you finishing off a killer run, doesn't get much better than that. So, X-Men number 94, very, very, very happy, obviously, to add this to the collection. All right, let's keep, wow, 25 minutes, I gotta get going. Here we go. All right, so Ghost in the Shell, number 1. Not a huge anime fan, but I've been a fan of Ghost in the Shell and Akira for a while. Old school stuff, you know. And one of my friends, she turned me on to this. She showed me the animated version of Ghost in the Shell. And I remember I saw it after The Matrix, and I was just very surprised at how many elements of Ghost in the Shell were borrowed from The Matrix. So I thought it was really cool. So very happy to pick this up. I also saw the Scarlett Johansson version of Ghost in the Shell. It was okay. It could have, should have been rated R for 1. And 2, it wasn't the worst movie, but it was just kind of there. Kind of like Blade Runner 2049. Injustice, Gods Among Us, number 1. Remember when this book was super, super, super hot? And it's still, still kind of a minor key issue, but I love it. Last video game that I officially played through and beat all the way. Love the storyline. Love this cover, too. Anytime you can have the Joker front and center and Batman versus Superman fighting, good stuff. I'm also looking forward to the Injustice and Masters of the Universe crossover. Here we have Moon Knight, number 38. Last issue special. And nice Mike Kaluta cover. Let's make some room. Here we have the Eternals, number 1. I ended up finding another little run of Eternals on the cheap. Not out of the dollar bins, unfortunately, this time. And these are probably just like straight up fine copies. My other ones were probably like very fine, but cool to have them anyway. So here's number 1. Another issue of number 2, which will give me now 2 complete sets of 1 through 3. And I also found another issue of number 2. So 3 of those altogether cost like $20. Not that bad. Not that great, but not that bad either. Staying on the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4 speculation hype train. We have Eternals number 1. So didn't know too much about this series, but checked out some variants that were Cersei-centric, which I'm still on that rumor that Cersei might be the lead character in this Eternals movie franchise, so just in case she is. So I picked up this Eternals number 1 variant, beautiful Olivia Copiel cover, as well as Eternals variant number 3, featuring this John Romita Jr. variant cover of Cersei. And I'm not a John Romita Jr. hater, but one of the biggest criticisms I have of his artwork is I just don't think he draws females, the female form, very attractive. Just look at his work on the X-Men and Suicide Squad. Look at the way he drew Harley Quinn. Horrific. But this is a pretty sexy cover. I gotta hand it to him. I like it. A little bit more movie hype. I'm sure you've all heard Kevin Feige announced that Carol Danvers would be the new lead of the Marvel Cinematic Universe moving on in Stage 4, Marvel Stage 4. So I ran into another copy of this, Avengers number 183, probably very fine minus. My other copy is very fine plus, but I figured that for $3-4, why the heck not? This is the issue where Carol Danvers joins the Avengers. So she's going to be the lead of the Marvel Cinematic Universe from Stage 4 onward. I'm going to assume that it will be other Avengers movies, seeing it's an incredibly successful franchise. So I figure this book will be kind of a key. More speculation. Miss Marvel number 19. As everyone I'm sure has heard, Jude Law has been cast in the movie. It's rumored that he will be playing the part of Captain Marvel. So here you go. This is the first time I think Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel appeared in a comic together as Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel, and the first time that they appeared on a cover together also. So why the heck not? I've still been working on my Luke Cage and Iron Fist runs from the 1970s, Bronze Age. So technically this isn't a Luke Cage issue, but this is the first time that Luke Cage appeared in a Defenders comic. So pretty cool. And look at how the colors pop on that issue. Beautiful, man. Luke Cage number 17, well, rather Luke Cage Power Man number 17, and this is the first time that Luke Cage changed the title to Power Man from Heroes to Hire. Many have said that this is probably the iconic Luke Cage cover from the 1970s. I would tend to agree. I think it's pretty good, even though I like Luke Cage Hero for Hire number 1. I think that is the ultimate Luke Cage cover from the 1970s. One issue I have with this, the first and still the greatest black superhero of all. Marvel, you do realize there's this other character named Black Panther that appeared in the Silver Age, right? Just, editor? Iron Fist number 8, kind of like how Luke Cage number 17 is heralded as one of the best Luke Cage covers from the Bronze Age. This is my personal favorite Iron Fist cover from the Bronze Age, done beautifully by the great John Byrne. So I think I need like 4 more copies, and I'll have the Iron Fist Volume 1, which is only like 15 issues, but I'll have that one cleared out. But I am also working on my Iron Fist Marvel Premiere run also. So here's Marvel Premiere number 16, which features the second appearance of Iron Fist. And I want to say it was the first artwork at Marvel Comics by Larry Hama, who I grew up reading Larry Hama, writing G.I. Joe and later on Wolverine. I had no idea he was an artist. And number 17, which also features artwork from Larry Hama. So very, very happy. I'd love to finish off this Marvel Premiere run of Iron Fist before the year is out. Little DC love. Here's DC Superstars of Magic, number 11, featuring Zatanna, and I want to say this is the first time that Zatanna headlined her own title. So, pretty cool. It was only like $10. Very fine condition, and sports that nice, sweet retro cover. Firestorm, the Nuclear Man, Volume 1, number 3, which features the first appearance of the first Killer Frost. Also, very fine condition to near mint minus, I guess. I don't like to call anything like near mint unless it's like a brand new book off the rack. I always feel safer calling it like very fine or very fine plus. Amazing Spider-Man number 176, which features the first appearance of the third Green Goblin. Don't ask me who it is. I already forgot. But anytime I can get an Amazing Spider-Man issue under number 200, and it also features a Green Goblin, I am down. Amazing Spider-Man number 86, which features the first appearance of the Black Widow in her femme fatale black leather outfit that we've all come to know and love her in for the past, 40 years, depending on how long you've been reading or paying attention to comics. Great stuff. Little Silver Age action. We have Fantastic Four number 87, which is in very fine condition, which I was stoked to pick up for $10. And I also picked up from the same store Fantastic Four number 88, which unfortunately, while also $10, but it features a staple, has a staple pop down there, so brings it down to a very good condition. But 2 Fantastic Four issues done by Stan the Man Lee and Jack Kirby for $20. Pretty good deal. I get to scratch off 2 Fantastic Fours from the Ultimate Fantastic Four era off my list. I'm always trying to branch out my Batman Silver Age. So, Batman number 193, another 80-page giant. Very nice spine on it. But one thing to look out for, I've already got burnt twice on this. I thought this was a fine copy, but it turns out this is just a VG, well, maybe a VG copy, maybe fine minus. It has a slight spine split from there to there, so maybe like a 1/4 of an inch or a 1/2 an inch. I don't know if that would knock it down to a VG plus or not, but still. Presents nice, colors pop, and it's Silver Age Batman. I have to give a shout out to the Comic Book Ninja for showcasing this comic, because I had no idea that this book even existed. I have to admit, even though I've been collecting comics for quite some time, my knowledge, as far as it goes to Charlton Comics, there isn't much there. So this is Mysterious Suspense #1. This is the first time that The Question headlined his own comic. Love The Question. This is Silver Age Steve Ditko, so a very worthy addition to not only my collection, but my Silver Age collection. So shout out to Comic Book Ninja for showing that off. Thanks, man. Here we have my first Golden Age comic ever. Tom and Jerry, #100. So it's an anniversary issue, technically, too, from 1952. Holy cow. Oldest book in my collection. A little 10-center. Cost me $10. Very fine, well, not very fine minus. Fine to fine minus condition. Staples are intact, no rust, no dog ears, no chipping, a little scuffing, discoloration right there and there. But the main detriment to this book is the inside cover is pretty tan. But the inside page is nice and white to off-white. So, fine minus copy of a Golden Age comic for $10. Had to pick it up. My first Golden Age comic and my first quote-unquote funny book in my PC. Going back to even before I collected comics, some of my earliest memories of watching cartoons before and after school would involve the reruns of Tom and Jerry from like the 1940s or 50s, whenever they originally came out. Bugs Bunny, Woody Woodpecker, Mighty Mouse. That is my inner child stuff, which predates Star Wars, G.I. Joe, comics, all that stuff. So I wasn't planning on buying a Tom and Jerry comic, but when I saw this, for the price it was, I figured why not. And now for my pick of the haul. San Diego Comic-Con Comics #2. As we all know, this is the first appearance of Hellboy in comics. Yes! Very psyched to have this. I've had this in my possession for about 3 months now, but I wanted to wait until my 50th haul to show it off. Super happy. It's like near mint to near mint minus condition. I paid about $200 for this. Ouch. Yeah, I hear you. But for the most part, from what I see, at least in my area, this book goes for like $300, and it has oodles of potential, in my opinion. This book, from what I've researched, this book only had 1,500 copies, and it was a giveaway at San Diego Comic-Con in 1993. So for a giveaway, how many of these in high grade are still banging around? So for a major first appearance such as Hellboy, only having 1,500 copies, this is probably my pick of the year so far. Very happy to pick it up. Hellboy is something kind of like new that I've recently got into. I've read Hellboy before, but secondhand, so I've recently, like as of this year, tried to hit some of those major independent comics franchises that I really hadn't before, like Hellboy, The Crow, Grendel, which I've been enjoying all of them. So, very happy to pick this up. Very worthy edition, and probably one of the, this haul will probably feature, the last time that I'll be picking up books that are like $100 plus and over, probably for the rest of the year, and I'll probably just go back to just buying regular keys. But I wanted to get some of these off of my list because, as a lot of you know, books are going up so quickly now, so it's almost a fight to try to snag them and get them into your PC before they're out of your range or at a price that you don't feel comfortable paying. So very happy to pick this up. Very happy to add it to my collection. And that is all I have for this week. This has been a great haul for me to be able to put on. A lot of fun. A lot of books that were on my list for a long time that I'm happy to scratch off. Thank you all that have been watching, liking, subscribing. As far as my channel goes, I'm up to 452 subscribers, which for me is a lot. There's people that have started their channel well after I have and have laughed at me as far as I go. But for a guy that shows books maybe once a month or whatever, and I'm not really, my finger's not on the pulse as far as, buying those hot variants all the time, but I'm glad for anyone that sticks around and watches my videos. As far as viewership goes, my viewership has dropped in half. I went from 300 to 400 views to maybe 200 views, so hey, it is what it is. What are you going to do? But I'm happy for anyone that supports and watches this channel and gets any kind of enjoyment or information out of it. So happy about that. I will be switching up my channel a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit of on a hiatus as far as comic book hauls go, but I am going to be bringing back my comic book collection spotlight series to focus in on why I like buying comics in the first place, whether it be a creative run, keys, covers, or just favorite characters, stuff like that. I will also be bringing another little side series called Dollar Bin Binges from the Fringes. I'm surprised I didn't jumble that up again. But basically, stuff that I pick up from the dollar bins, that'll be fillers, some good deals, some spec books. And for people that not, those videos will be basically for people that just love looking at comics, man, and learning about comics and enjoying comics, having fun with them, not necessarily just speculation and key issues, which I'm all about that too, but it's just one aspect of the hobby, which is kind of like hijack the whole hobby, whether you go online or most of the videos that I see on YouTube. So I'm just going to try to switch it up a little bit moving forward. So thank you all for watching, liking, subscribing as always. Hey, if you liked it, for the first time I'm going to start saying, hit that like button. Why not? Give me a little algorithm assist. And yeah, that's about it. So I will see you all later. Have a happy Father's Day out there for all the fathers. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, liking, subscribing. Thank you. Have a great weekend. See ya.